welcome back to Hidden Treasure. I'm Jimmy.
And I'm Brad. In today's episode, we're going to talk about turning the other cheek or not taking things personally. Simple to say, hard to do, but you're not going to want to miss this episode.
That's right.
All right.
All right. Well, welcome back. And today, like Brad said, we want to talk about not taking things so personally and not letting things bother you. Now, let me ask you a question. Brad, you can answer it.
I'll try.
And you folks, you can answer for yourself. When you take something personally and something bothers you, gets under your skin, what kind of thoughts do you have usually? Positive or negative?
Yeah, they're negative. I feel like someone's offended me, whether it be physical or mental. Most of the time, it's mental. Somebody said something, I've heard something, and I've kind of shaped that message, that narrative into a thought that I don't like, and then I've created a conflict for myself.
And when you do that, you're feeding your mind what? Positive or negative thoughts and feelings.
They're negative.
Okay. And one of the things, I don't know if we've mentioned this yet, but what we've learned, what you feed the mind grows.
That's right.
And, sometimes we find ourselves just getting up on what we call the wrong side of the bed. We're just ill and can't seem to shake it. Wonder where that's coming from. I mean, some of it could be coming from us, couldn't it?
I would say so, and so I think I've told this to you several times. Is every conflict I've ever had, I've either been partly or solely responsible for it.
Exactly, and I would agree with that 100%. And which we call that taking ownership, don't we?
It is, but when you look at it, if you've heard something that you don't like, and good golly, we hear stuff every day on social media, on the news, on the radio. Somebody voices an opinion, and we don't like it.
Yep.
Or we do like it. It's usually one or the other. It's never just a neutral. But if we can get to that neutrality point,
right,
we will be so much happier because there's no conflict there.
And to do that, don't we have to kind of decide that we just got to let people have whatever they believe and what their opinion is?
Right.
Just let them have it.
That's right.
Instead of being offended by it or trying to change it or challenge it or whatever.
And again, this goes back to love and acceptance. And you can love and accept people. You don't have to necessarily agree with them, right? You don't have to approve of what they're talking about or what they're doing. But you don't have to create a conflict inside yourself, because that conflict is only going to tear you down. It's only going to create negative thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So when we say don't take it personally, and even my wife said, well, that's when you say that, that's almost offensive to people. well, how about if we say it this way? Try not to take things so personally. And so the good teacher says, turn the other cheek. Well, whenever I heard that growing up, I thought about Kenny Rogers' song, "The Coward of the County." If you're old enough to remember Kenny Rogers, he's a country music singer, had a lot of #1 hits, and just a really great voice, and a lot of his stories.
He told stories in the songs, didn't he?
Exactly, a lot of his songs told stories. So "The Coward of the County," there was a character in there named Johnny, who they called Old Yeller, right? Because they thought he was a coward until somebody messed with his wife or his girlfriend. I can't remember. And then he took care of those guys, but that's not what Jesus is talking about.
No.
That's not what the good teacher is. The good teacher is just saying, try not to take things personal.
Right,
don't create the conflict. See the innocence in people, love and accept them. But don't go down that path, because you're only going to be hurting yourself. You're not doing anything to the other person, which your mind is thinking you are, right? But you're not. You're just hurting yourself. So what are some things in the past that we have both taken personally and we don't anymore?
Right.
Or we do
most of the time we don't.
Yeah,
sometimes we may.
We do less of. Okay.
Right, a whole lot less.
So let's talk about sports.
Okay.
I'm a Clemson fan. I'm a Clemson grad. Jimmy's a Carolina fan. But we've learned to love and accept each other and the other teams.
Respect the team for what they are, and I even was happy to see Clemson win the national championship. Well, a couple times there, wasn't it? And
Right.
but I respected what they accomplished. We're in the same state, and it's like a war. And we were brought up: you only can love one of them and respect one. You can't like both.
Right.
But that's not true.
Well, it's not. It's not. And that's for any team. It's for any rivalry. Well, whether it be an individual, whether it be golfers, whether it be tennis players, sports teams, soccer teams. There's a lot of passion, and fans really get into it. And how many times have you been on the moon because your team won? And how many times have you just been down in the dumps because
when they lose?
It's because you've taken things personally. And that's probably the easiest example to illustrate, right?
It is, but if you want to get into everyday life, how about the traffic? How about that person that cuts in on you or pulls out in front of you or doesn't turn on their turn signal and stops on a dime and you about hit them because they...
Or you're driving and you're having a good morning and listening to your favorite song and somebody's blowing you up in the back with their horn because you've done something. They think you've done something. Maybe you did. And then they pass you by and they give you the old, "Hey, you're number one." What do you do then?
That's when you just smile and send them some peace, joy, love, and light.
That's right. How about politics?
Well, that's a wild one.
You turn on the news and there's such a divide, or at least the narrative is there's such a divide. I'll tell you this about our politicians. They're just like we are. They're human. They have lights inside of them. They have hidden treasure, whether or not they know it or not. And
everybody's got that hidden treasure.
That's right. And so we're all connected. So regardless of who you vote for or what they stand for, at the end of the day, we have more in common with each other than we know. Look here. We have families. We have vacations. We have our sports teams. We have our outdoor activities. We have our indoor activities.
We got our work.
we have our work. We have our recreation.
We got all kinds of stuff.
There's so much we have in common. Part of what Jimmy and I are hoping to do is bring more unity with these messages to let people realize that we have more in common. We're connected more than we've been told, than we've been led to believe, through a narrative that out there seems to want to divide us. So judgment, and we're not talking about all judgment, because every time we open our eyes, our ears, we're judging something, whether or not we like it or we don't. We're just saying, on the negative side, don't take things down that path, because that's going to steal your joy. If you don't like something, you don't have to harp on it. You might just say, that might not be something that I would do or I would approve of, but hey, they're human. They have the right. I'm going to love and accept them as long as they're not harming themselves or harming others.
There you go. That's the key to it. And if you don't hurt somebody, harm them, then what's wrong with it? If you just let them be, maybe it's not for you. It's not for me, but that's okay. Like you said, if you're not harming anyone.
That's right. And look here, we've all been the recipients of that, and we've all been the perpetrators of that. And that's just part of being human.
For the first 53 years and 10 months of my life, nobody judged more than I did. I was very judgmental. I was very critical. I held grudges. I had anger issues. I was a hot mess. And that's why I ended up having my experience, because I couldn't take it anymore.
But when you went up to the mountain, the light switched on, and then you realized, hey, I don't have to take things so personal.
Oh yeah.
You learned to turn the other cheek.
I learned that, but I've been practicing that for 17 and a half years. I'm better at it now than I used to be.
Right.
I did not, even with my experience, I came off the mountain, I still had my issues. I mean, I'd still try to be right about things that I thought were important to be right about. And I still took things personally. I let things bother me. And I won't get into what all it was. It doesn't matter. The bottom line was I did it. And I didn't even realize what I was doing, even though I knew not to do this. So folks, when you start practicing this, if you do, you're not going to be perfect at it. In fact, you'll stink it up for a while. I mean, so did I. So what we're doing is we're giving you something to be aware of, that you're going to make an effort and ask for help. If you believe in a higher power like we do, then ask for help, because that's what I did, and I know that's what you've done. We asked for help with not taking things personally, not letting things bother us. And hey, I got a spouse, my wife, and she sometimes will still take things personally, and she's as sweet and as angelic as anyone I've ever known on this planet, other than your wife. And
Well,
she's the
thank you.
same. And but yet she sometimes will find herself, but she'll catch it now, and she'll go, "Oops, I know what I'm doing." She'll pray and ask, say, "Hey, forgive me, Father, and help me to do better in the future." And she does. It's just, but it's a work in progress, isn't it?
It is. There's a lot of cliches you hear growing up, and it's like once you discover this, you're like, oh, now I really know what that means. Like water off a duck's back, right?
Yeah, there you go.
And what's the one you like to use as far as don't let it stick to you?
Don't let it stick. Let's see. Can't remember right now.
Teflon.
Oh, the Teflon.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah. I'm sorry.
Teflon.
Yeah, I like to think about Teflon, and spraying yourself with Teflon. That's a non-stick coating, and nothing sticks to you.
That's right. Nothing sticks to you. If it doesn't stick to you, you're not taking it personally. You're staying in that joy.
You shake it off and let it go, as this popular songs came down the pike in the last 10, 15
Shake it
years.
off and let
Shake
it
it
go.
off and let it go. But so this is about practicing. So come join us. We're practicing. We haven't got this all figured out yet. I
That's right.
guarantee you, I take things personally sometimes.
That's right. So if you like this message, hit like, and if you want to see more of this, please hit subscribe and
We appreciate you, and peace, joy, love, and light be with you always.
and share any comments you like down below. We'd love to hear your story.
That's right. Thank you very much, folks.
Okay.
God bless.